Good, well, it's good evening at the moment, so I'll say a good evening to all of you and welcome back to um, The Naked Truth. It's going to be episode 6 as far as I can recall, so I hope you enjoy it. You will enjoy it like you did with the other episode. So this episode is going to be titled um, Living with Rheumatoid Arthritis. Now, I've mentioned this before. I've done uh, a video on this already with somebody else, but I think it's very important for everyone to understand where I'm coming from. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis about 3.5, 4 years ago now. It came as a complete shock to me because I didn't know what it was, and I always thought it was something that only old people got. Initially, I was also misdiagnosed as well, so that didn't make it easier with a different form of arthritis, which was even more rare than rheumatoid arthritis, and I was completely taken back by that because I thought, well, what's happening to me? Am I getting old quickly? Am I aging before my age? So had all these questions that I couldn't answer, or no one could answer for me. No. Luckily, I was referred to a rheumatologist, Dr. Mohammed Al Rafi is his name, in Barrington's Hospital in Limerick, and straight away he could see what was wrong with me. He didn't even have to do too much. Looking at me, he looked at my hands. He asked me where the pain was, and he could diagnose me with it's rheumatoid arthritis, because the one I was diagnosed with, that would have been more or less impossible. I would have been the only one in Ireland at the time to have that, and he hadn't heard of a case like that before. So, but in a way, getting the right diagnosis was good for me, but also took more questions for me. I was thinking, what to do now? How do I live with this? Because at the time, the pain was unbearable, even though I had received medications which were working, but there were steroids, and you're not supposed to take steroids for too long a period. And even the consultant had told me, listen, you have to get off the steroids because I need to get a clear picture on what's happening to you. And the steroids are masking your condition at the moment. So I was dreading that because I didn't like the pain at all, because it was awful. I felt like I was in the mid ages, the medieval time, where people would be quartered, where they were people torn apart by 4 horses. That's really how I felt like. My arms, my shoulders, my legs, I felt like we were being pulled away, were ripped off my body. That's how it felt like. So I wasn't too happy with doing that, with stopping the painkillers, but it had to be done to get the right diagnosis. Now, uh, yes, I was shocked because that wasn't the first thing that had happened to me in my life, and I think, why this happening again? I was just getting to terms with a few bits and pieces. In the meantime, I also had to deal with the bereavement, which wasn't great either. But I took it on my chin, and I felt, well, I just have to go for it. I just have to see what I can do. Rather than feeling sorry for me, I started looking into things what I could do to make my life easier. And I came across Arthritis Ireland, and I was invited to partake in the course called Living Well with arthritis and other chronic illnesses. It was actually a cousin of my wife had asked me. I've interviewed her before. I still have that on my podcast as well. So, and she had asked me to come along to participate in this course. That was a 6 evenings course of 2.5 hours each, where they were talking about how to deal with the illness and the best way of dealing with it. Now, the course was designed by Stanton University in California, and they're using uh, this book. I'm going to share the screen so you have an idea on what it looks like. 1 second now. Make sure I take the right one. As you can see there, that's the book, Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Conditions. It's quite a comprehensive book, and there's a lot of stuff in it, but it is so very useful for people who have not only arthritis or any arthritis like condition, but any chronic condition. So I just want to bring that to your attention on this one. So I did participate in the course, and it was a really a blessing for me, because the things we dealt with was like the symptoms, how to break the symptoms, how to deal with emotions, and also the fact that you're surrounded by peers, people who understood your pain. Because if you're not in the situation, it's very hard to understand what a patient is going through, because it's not only the pain, it also comes with fatigue, um, chronic fatigue as well. So, and usually for me, it was often the case around 3 o'clock. I would get very tired. I would need to lie down. Sometimes I would snooze for 10 minutes. Sometimes I would be out for 2 hours or 3 hours. So it was I couldn't really plan my life properly. So, uh, as I said, but we were given tools. We actually have a toolbox as well. It's not like a virtual toolbox that gives you all these kind of ways on how to deal with your condition, and it was so helpful. Even though I was doing a lot of stuff already, and one of the things was, for instance, was physical activity and exercise, and I caught on fairly quickly that that was going to be crucial for me as well, because the second I got the diagnosis, I registered in a gym, a fitness center, and I did a lot of fitness. I worked out with weights. I was basically creating a pain, a different pain than my arthritis, because I knew that was going to be a pain I could deal with. And it was also a distraction from my rheumatoid arthritis condition and its pain. So this pain caused by physical activity, by exercise, by using your muscles, it was giving me a way to distract myself away from my condition, and it was actually focusing on a different pain I could deal with, because we all have done it. We all have walked, and we've run, we have done exercises, and you feel sore afterwards, and that's something I was used to, so I could deal with that. So it was just, this is not scientific, this is just my thinking behind it, and it worked for me. But of course, it's not something you can continue to do either. So you have to look at other things as well. So one of the things now, which is a great tool, was doing up an action plan. So every week we would be given an action plan. No, we wouldn't be. We give ourselves an action plan, and it could be anything. It didn't have to be related to the illness. It could be just going for a walk for 10 minutes each day, or even some simple things like having a glass of water each day with your dinner. Anything, could be anything. But it's just really to focus your mind on something else than your pain. That was just one of the tools we use, and there were other things as well, like imagery, and also basically trying to break the cycle by communicating with your doctors, with your healthcare providers, with your family as well, the right way of communicating as well. Yeah, and it really helped me a lot, so much so that a year after I was asked to also be a leader in the course, and rather teaching or being a tutor for others. So which I did, and I've done a great number of them the last couple of months, which was actually despite all the problems we had with COVID and despite all the lockdowns, this is something positive, because people with a chronic condition, you actually could log on to Zoom as I'm doing now, and they could participate in this course. And so many people were helped with it. And I was listening today to someone, a doctor. He didn't have any rheumatoid arthritis or anything like that, but he had what you call long COVID, which can also, at the moment, people don't know don't know how long that's going to last, how long those conditions are going to be around for. They might be chronic as well for the rest of your life, or they might be over a few months' time. Now, the difference with him and me is the likelihood his conditions, they're gone now. So he dealt with it. My rheumatoid arthritis is something I have to live with for the rest of my life. There's no cure. There are some medicines I can take to stop the progress of the condition, or not just stop it, or slow it down to such an amount that I don't. Well, it's not going to disable me further, because it is disabling. It's very. It does have. It has a great impact on anyone's life, really. And what people don't understand is they see me as a youngish man who looks quite fit, who looks healthy, but I'm far from it. And sometimes people don't realize that they might be talking to people and they think, oh, he's healthy or she's healthy, but they don't know what's actually going inside. And this all came back to me as well, funny enough, with the European Cup, which is currently being held all over Europe, and with this Danish player, the Danish star player, Ericsson. Ericsson. Christian Eriksen, he just collapsed during his first match. A young, fit, healthy man, 29-year-old man with two young kids in the prime of his life, just collapsed, had a cardiac arrest. People don't realize that. So people think, oh, you're healthy, but no one of us really knows if we have an underlying condition or not until it's diagnosed, until it's found out. Sometimes this can happen by accident. Sometimes you, like me, I had the symptoms. I felt the pain. I went to my doctor. I told her my concerns, and she, to be fair to her, she started the right course of action. She sent me to hospital for an assessment, a medical assessment. And although they misdiagnosed me initially, they still took the right steps. They still gave me the medicines to reduce my pain, and they still referred me to a specialist as well. So all paths went to the right way at the end. But that's the thing, though. Living with a chronic condition, there's two ways you can go about it. You can just sit down and start feeling sorry for yourself. And something I was very annoyed by a couple of weeks ago, someone sent me a link of a newspaper article in the Irish Times where it said, where it was saying that some people with rheumatoid arthritis, they could do damage to themselves if they exercise. And I was raging when I read it. But first of all, they had the data wrong, and they were only meant in the actual studies. It only mentioned a small group of people. There were post-menopausal women, and it didn't actually say that. The women had rheumatoid arthritis, but the fact that they had more. That the fitness, the physical activities had damaged them more, was not actually attributed to the rheumatoid arthritis. There could have been another reason as well. But the headline said it was rheumatoid arthritis which caused, or physical activity, exercise caused the more damage to these people, to all rheumatoid arthritis patients. And I was raging because that sets us back so far. Really, it's because people they nowadays people don't read further. They see a headline and that's it. That's all they need to know to make up their mind. And it's so hard to get people on board and doing courses like we do at the moment to Arthritis Ireland, also with the HSE, to help people overcome their conditions, to let them see there's a way out. There's no cure, but there's a way out, and to continue in their own life, to have a full life, that they can still enjoy every bit of life as well, so that they don't have to sit down and feel sorry for themselves or feel unnecessary pain. So, and again, today I heard some people saying, "Oh, yeah, but if I feel pain, I don't think I should be exercising." If you feel pain, that's the last thing you should do, is not exercising. You should have, I like to say, use it or lose it. Um, I know many years ago, even when you had a back injury, you said, "Well, stay still, don't move." Because I remember this as well when I had a herniated disc. I was hospitalized for a while as well, and they told me not to move. Now, in the 21st century, science has proven that that's the worst thing you can do. You have to move, because it's like a car. When it's broken and it's fixed again, you have to drive it again, because if you don't, it just stays there, it rusts. So your body is a machine. It has all. It's mechanical. It has all parts, and if they don't move, they'll stall and they'll break. So, and it's so important that you keep your physical activity up. And when I say physical activity or exercise, I don't mean that you have to run a marathon, that you have to climb the Mount Everest. Some exercises can be done sitting on the chair, in your kitchen chair. All you have to do is sit down, have two cans of beans, something, and just use like this, do like the biceps curls, something like that will do, or just go for a walk. And I've heard people say, "But I live in an apartment and there's nothing nearby." What you do then, instead of taking the lift up to the floor where you live, you take the stairs. Or when you go shopping, and instead of parking the car next to the door, you park it a bit further away. So you have to walk a bit further to the entrance of the shop. And each day you just park it a bit further and further until you have a good distance as well to cover. So, and if you can't, if one day you feel I can't, then okay, we'll just park it a bit closer. But don't just give up and do nothing, because that's the worst thing you can do. And that's something I'm passionate about, and I need to say this often. Exercise, exercise, exercise. And it doesn't have to, you don't even have to be a gym member. You don't even have to buy expensive gym equipment. You can do this at home. You can sit on your chair. There's a lot of exercises available on YouTube for people with chronic conditions. Just look it up and you'll find them, the simple ones. And just do it. Even you can do stretch exercises sitting on your chair as well, which you're just lifting your legs every few seconds. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can make it as easy or as complicated as you want to do yourself. And if you want to pay money for a gym, fair enough, do it. And if you feel comfortable with doing it, and if you feel comfortable using weights and heavy weights and going on a treadmill, that's great. If you can do that, and if you have the financial resource for it as well, that's great. Just do it if you feel comfortable, if you think you can do it, or if you want to go for a swim, do it. But do something. Don't do nothing. And I just want to emphasize that, because I know myself. If and you might not believe this, but I'm a type of person. I can feel sorry for myself quite a bit. I'm actually a master in feeling sorry for myself sometimes. And I thought, well, not this time, not this time, because I have to live my life the way I want to. have a family. I can't be a burden to them, and it shouldn't be. It's not fair on them. It's not fair on me. It's not fair on anyone, and there's no reason to be a burden. No, doesn't mean I'm feeling great. Because at the moment, I am feeling great, but there's days where I'm just a wreck. But what I do then, I push myself just that bit further, that bit more, to get over it. No, it's not always possible, but the last thing I do is give up, and this is really to focus on anyone else out there who has any type of chronic condition. It doesn't matter what it is, or not even if you're feeling healthy. It doesn't really matter. Moving is important for all of us, not just people who have some medical condition. It's also healthy people, and also people just get yourself checked regularly. And was I have to say, this whole episode with Chris and Erickson kind of scared me in a way as well, because you just don't know um, what's wrong with you, because you might think you're healthy, and next you're down on the floor, on the ground, and there's people surrounding you and trying to resuscitate you, using the defib on you. And funny enough, the day after that, I read, oh no, actually, I saw a piece in one of the newspapers, some entertainment news, that one of the child stars, child actors who played in the movie Nanny McPhee, but it was a couple of years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and he was 23 or 24 now. Same thing, he went out for a cycle and he just collapsed, he died, cardiac arrest. So, and I know that this might sound, well, oh, this is awful, but it doesn't have to be. Just keep healthy, keep moving, eat healthy as well, and don't just eat rubbish. I mean, there's no this. It's okay to treat yourself every once in a while. I mean, trust me, I do. I have to treat myself a lot, but it has to be in moderation. You have to have it all on a level where you can say, well, this is healthy, and this is where I want to treat myself. Yeah, you have to plan. You plan your food as well, because if you sometimes read the labels of food, you'll be shocked. If you, for instance, so many people that they love their smoothies. Now, what I like to call it is just sugar in a glass, because that's what it is. A smoothie is really just only the sugar from the fruit and some pulp. There's actually not this, the vitamins are out of it. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't drink smoothies, because I know that they taste nice, but it shouldn't be a replacement for actual fruit, for actually eating an apple or pear or banana. Uh, and I know that the health guides have about 5 bits of fruit and vegetables a day, or 5 to 7. Now, if you can't do that, that's fair enough, but try at least with one or two. But don't give up on healthy food either, because it's so easy to cook a proper meal. And because I've tried it. I've recently I've tried to do a so-called convenient meal, like what TV dinner, whatever you want to call it. It actually took longer for me to unwrap everything, get everything out of the packaging, and put it into a microwave and the whole lot. It took me longer than actually um, cooking a proper meal. Just have to, 1 second. No, I just had to turn off some notifications there, because it's kind of getting a bit annoying for, I suppose, for people listening as well. So yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. Yeah, as I was saying, sorry for distractions. Talk about distractions, by the way. Yeah, sometimes if you actually try to cook a proper meal, you can cook it in 25 to 30 minutes, and there's a lot of good recipes you can find online. There's a lot of good books you can buy. Try it, and sometimes it's the food you make. It it's a therapy as well, because if you make your dinner and people are enjoying it, it's good for your mental health as well, not just for your physical health. It's good for your mental health as well, because you're busy. And what I do as well, I combine this with some daily activities as well. So physical activities. I kind of dance around the kitchen. I sing along. And I put on some music. I sing along while I'm cooking, and it's great. It's great if you can do that. So again, it gives you a buzz as well. No, you don't do that when you open how you call it, a frozen pizza, put it in the oven. You don't have the time to. You're not going to go dancing and singing, because you have to wait for the pizza to be finished in the oven. You just sit down and do nothing. But and again, I'm not saying not to not to ever eat any convenient foods, because that's okay as well. But keep it in moderation. It has to be in balance. All of these things, good food, exercise, mental health, they all help you. They're all there to make your life better. And so good. And yeah, it's life can be complicated sometimes, but sometimes we make it so complicated for ourselves. Just keep things simple. That's my key advice. Keep it simple. Even when you cook a dinner, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just keep it simple, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So that was it for the naked truth this time for episode 6. Now I hope you enjoyed this one. I know I've been ranting on a bit, rambling on a bit, but to me, this is very important that people realize that if you have a chronic illness, it's not the end of your life. It's the start of a new chapter. You just closed one chapter of your healthy life, and you move on now to a new chapter. And just one more thing before I go on exercising, for instance, you should start from the point where you are now, and not where you were 5 years ago, but where you are now. And that's where people often go wrong. They think, well, oh, 5 years ago I could run a marathon. Now I'm not able to do it anymore. So what's the point of doing anything? Well, that's the wrong attitude. You just start from where you are now. If you can't do a marathon, walk the steps, walk up to your neighbor's house, walk around the block, go for a walk into town or in a park, or whatever. Do some gardening, do the hoovering. I'm sure your spouse will be happy as well if you do that. Clean windows. It doesn't have to be actually a sporting activity. It could be anything. So, but don't give up on being physical. And that's all I want to say. So again, thanks for listening, and talk to you soon. Slán.